7:14 now. Maryland will elect its next governor in November of next year, 2022. Primaries coming up next June. The list of candidates looking to succeed Governor Hogan is growing. Among them is former nonprofit executive John Barron. He is joining us in studio to talk about his plans for Maryland. Good morning. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. For those who aren't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about who you are and your background that brings you now to this point of running for governor.
So I am a longtime Maryland resident from Montgomery County. Lived here 27 years, spent most of my childhood here, went to the same public schools my kids went to. Career-wise, I'm a government reformer. I've led the charge to increase the effectiveness of government through evidence about what actually works to improve people's lives. So in the Clinton administration, I headed a billion-dollar technology program and won awards for reinventing government. Later, I founded a nonprofit. We worked with the Bush and Obama administrations to get some major reforms enacted into law. I've headed the largest philanthropic initiative in the country that identifies and expands proven effective social programs. I've been an appointee of Democratic and Republican presidents, twice confirmed by the Senate.
So according to your website, you say that some of the same problems that you saw when you were growing up, poor performing schools, racial inequalities, income inequalities, rising health care costs, all those deep-seated issues are still in place in some ways and forms still now. So taking all of what you had, you just explained to us about evidence-based, how do you use that now to turn these things around?
Well, that's exactly right. You know, you could roll the tape back 20 years to the governor's election, back then. The poverty rate in Maryland today is 9%. You know what it was in 1995? It was 9%. Because for low and moderate income Marylanders, they've seen stagnant wages for several decades while income inequality's been growing. In education, more than a quarter of middle school students in our state can't read at a basic level. More than a third can't do basic math. Those numbers are no different than they were 20 years ago. Everybody's had a new plan to solve these problems, but, it's decades later. We're still mired in the same problems that are harming the lives of millions of Marylanders. We need to do something very different. That's what I'm offering. So I've been on a mission in my career to expand programs that don't just sound like good ideas, but have been tested in the real world and shown to make a big difference in people's lives. I'll give you one example.
Okay.
As governor, we would do what's proven to work. We would expand in education high-quality tutoring to every struggling first and second grader in the entire state of Maryland. It's been shown to move them up toward grade level early before their problems become serious in later grades. And we would do this by engaging the community, recruiting senior citizens and retirees, recent college graduates, to become tutors for a modest stipend as a public service. Essentially, it would be a community-wide effort, statewide effort, to make sure every child in Maryland starts their educational journey with success.
Got it. Do you have plans to pay particular interest to Baltimore? That's seeing some of these same issues that we're seeing statewide. There's problems with schools, racial inequalities, and most notably here in Baltimore, it's talked about often, is the high crime rate.
Yes, the high crime rate is something that urgently needs to be addressed. This would in Baltimore and some other parts of the state, but it would be one of my top priorities as governor to partner with Baltimore officials to bring some of the most promising and proven programs from around the country to Baltimore to prevent crime. I'll give you one example. Focused deterrence, also known as group violence reduction. It's being initiated here already, which is great in Baltimore. We would provide resources from the state to help make sure it's effective. This is a strategy that's been tested in Oakland and reduced the homicide rate by about half. What it does is it recognizes that the large majority of violent crime is committed by a relatively small number of individuals in the city, repeat violent offenders, and often gang involved. It invites them in for meetings with community officials and social service agencies, and law enforcement offers them a positive way forward with job opportunities and other counseling and other assistance, but also makes clear if they continue to act violently, they will be the focus of extraordinary attention from law enforcement.
Okay.
So this is something that's been very promising, and that's just one example. There are other very promising strategies we would bring.
John Barron, gubernatorial candidate, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure we'll be seeing and talking with you more in the coming months.
I hope so. It's good to be here.
All right.